Hey, it's Kate from the blog Caribou Farmhouse, and today we're canning peaches. So last week, Brian's mum helped me can 80 pounds of peaches for our wedding next year as wedding favors. And I wanted to bring something that tied our story into our wedding and try and make all these special moments. But we canned almost all the peaches just specifically for the wedding. So today I'm canning more for us. So after Brian proposed, we made these muddled peach champagne mimosas, and his mom had given us a jar of canned peaches for Christmas that she canned, and so we had taken those canned peaches out with us for the day, and then after he proposed, we just muddled them up and we mixed the champagne with it and we cheers on top of the valley. It was just such a special moment for us with these canned peaches, and because he's from the Okanagan region, which is famous for its peach crops. So we went down and we canned 80 pounds of peaches for the wedding specifically, but now we are canning for Brian and I today, and maybe some Christmas gifts. I want to try 2 different recipes today. We'll see how it goes. The first one is regular canned peaches, and the second one I've been wanting to try for a few years now, and it's a Southern American recipe. It's kind of like a pickling, but a spiced pickling of peaches. So we're going to try it. I've never actually had them. I've just seen it online and it looks really good. So we're going to try that recipe later on. In canning peaches, you can buy several different types of peaches. You can buy freestone peaches, you can buy clingstone peaches, and you can buy semi-cling. These ones here are semi-cling, and they come off really nicely. They come off the pits really nicely. You can blanch them. You can dip them in boiling water, and then you can blanch them into ice cold water to remove the skins. These skins remove, and they're perfect right now. They're at the perfect firmness, so you still want them to be quite firm, but they're at the perfect firmness where I can just make an incision and the skin just peels off, which is beautiful. So I'm going to do that. We're gonna peel all the peaches. I've already washed my jars, sanitized my jars. I'm gonna turn the oven on though, and this is a trick that Brian's mom taught me, just to keep the jars warm. So I've sanitized the jars. I'm going to boil the lids right now, and then I'm going to turn the oven on, and then I'm going to put the sanitized jars into the oven just to keep them warm. And then after I peel all the peaches, I'm going to pop them into the jars, and then I'm going to put them into the canner, and then I'm probably going to split half the recipe because I want to do half as just regular canned peaches, and then I actually want to try that new spice pickling recipe. So we'll see how that goes. That involves a few more things. I'll list that later on, but that involves apple cider vinegar and cloves and cinnamon sticks. So now you're going to put your canning lids into some water to boil. So I've got 2. And then we're going to put this onto the stove. So I'm going to make a really light syrup. Typically, I know some people do like a 1-to-1 ratio between water and water and sugar for a brine, but some of the brines are just so sweet and syrupy that I think it actually takes away from that natural sweetness of the peach. So I'm actually going to do a 5-to-1. So I'm going to do 5 cups of water and 1 cup of sugar, and then I'm going to boil that. I've got 5 cups here, so I'm going to double this, but my ratio is 5-to-1, so I'm going to do 10 cups of water to 2 cups of sugar. I'm going to boil that to create a simple syrup, and then I'm going to add that to my cans for the peaches. Look at that, and it just comes off beautifully. Like the whole skin peels off perfectly. That's when you know that they're really good to can, because they're still firm, but the skin will come off, and that they're still gonna keep that firmness when they're canned as well. So I just keep going, and I don't want these to sit in the air for too long. So once my brine has actually finished, I'm going to can these as I go. I'm gonna cut as much as I think that I'll need for one jar, and then I'll pull that jar out. I will fill it with a little bit of liquid first, because that way you'll actually get more peaches in. That was a trick that Brian's mom taught me. And then, I was using the wrong side of the knife. And then I will fill the rest up with the peaches. And you want a good dish towel here, because it will get really sticky. So for our wedding favors, I split my peaches right in half, because I think in the jar it actually looked a lot better like that. But just because these are for us and for family Christmas gifts, I'm actually doing them in quarters, because we can get more peaches into one jar than if we were to do them in halves. So it's kind of more bang for your buck kind of thing. And because we had just done 80 pounds of peaches last week, I'm running pretty low on jars. So I'm just using kind of the bigger jars that I have left. And then I'm just trying to get as many peaches as I can into those jars. So I've started off with just a little bit of water in here. The stove is clicking, it clicks sometimes, which is super frustrating. But, so I started off with a little bit of water here, because then I'll actually get more peaches. And I'm holding it with the jar because I'm holding the jar with the cloth because it's actually really hot. So now I'm gonna top it up. I don't know which. There we go, now it goes. Now I'm gonna top it up with syrup. And I'm gonna make sure that there's no air bubbles. Okay, so now we're going to start actually canning them. So I've got my 4 that I want to do here first, and I've just hand tightened them jars, and then I'm going to put them into my water. And then I'll let it down. And I'm going to bring this up to a really soft boil. So I don't want it to be raging, because you could actually break the bottom of your jar. Sometimes the jars just break like really cleanly off at the bottom. But I don't want to have it raging boiling. I don't want it to sorry, that was probably really loud. I don't want it to get too hot. So I'm just going to bring it to a really soft boil. I'm going to put my lid on, and then I'm going to boil it for about 15 to 20 minutes. So now we're going to make the spiced peaches. I've never done this before. We're going to try it. I think it's going to be really good. So we're going to use 5% acidic apple cider vinegar, 2 teaspoons of whole cloves, 2 cinnamon sticks, and 4 cups of sugar and 2/3 cup of water, and about 7 peaches, large peaches, which is about 3 pounds. So we'll see. It's going to be really sweet, because the last recipe I did I did a 1:5 ratio, and now we're doing 4 cups of sugar to 1.5 cups of apple cider vinegar, as well as 2/3 cup of water. So we'll see. It's going to be sweet, but I think it's going to be really good with the spices. It's going to be a really nice fall mixture, and I think we could actually use this syrup for doing cocktails for the fall. So I'm going to pour the apple cider vinegar into my pot here. Make sure that you use a non-reactive pot. Some of the pots can react to the vinegar, and we don't want We don't want that. So I've got 1.5 cups. And then close that so it doesn't smell. We have 2/3 cup of water. Okay, so now we have 2/3 cup of water, and now we'll do 4 cups of sugar. So I've got, and then I'll give it a quick stir. I'll add my cinnamon sticks here. We need 2 teaspoons of cloves. So I don't actually know if this is going to work, but I want to try on a few of them because I think it will look really good. Pushing the cloves down in a spine shape, down the back of a peach here. I probably won't do it to all of them, but just a few, and then I'll have the rest of the cloves are just kind of swimming free in the jar. Okay, so I've boiled this for about 5 minutes, and now I'm going to add my peaches in. And I'm going to boil this for another 5 minutes. I hope that you guys enjoyed the canning peaches today, and I really hope that you try the spiced peaches because it smells so good in my kitchen right now, and I'm really excited to open these up for fall. If this is your first time here, I hope that you subscribe before you leave, and if you do try the spiced peach if you do try the spiced peach recipe, please send me a message or tag me on Instagram at Caribou Farmhouse. Or even check out the full blog post for more recipes and for the entire recipes for both the canning peaches and the spiced peaches at cariboufarmhouse.com or on Instagram at Caribou Farmhouse.